Hey guys, this is John with CheatSheetPros.com, and I'm going to go ahead and do a video today to answer some questions and break down the sheet from yesterday for our new sports betting members. So if you're not into sports betting, there's no reason to watch this video. If you subscribe to us for sports betting and you're a newer member in the last month, then this video is for you. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, how I'm going to break this video down is I'm going to go over the sheet from yesterday on February 9th, and then I'm going to go over the results. Now, what I do to track this, I put in the sheet pick, the projection, the actual score, the result, and then the total, and then I make notes of it so we can kind of track. The best thing about sports betting is looking back and figuring out what worked, what didn't work, so we can get better. So the number one question that I get is, how do I change teams? So you can see on my screen here, it says change home team. The bottom team is always the home team. You click inside this box, and when you do, this drop down suddenly appears, and you can scroll up and down and pick different teams. So these are all home teams that you're going to pick. And then when you click it, it's going to scroll through and show you the next game and all the stats. So you have to go game by game. The second question I get is, what numbers should I be looking at? So what I want to do is teach you how to be a sharp sports bettor and look at stats. That's my number one goal. Now, what I'm doing when I put out the record, like we were on an 18-2 run before yesterday, I'm looking at this right here, this average. So these are three different models, and people always ask me, what are these models? So this is using the last three numbers for the offense with the projected score. This is the one how this whole sheet started, because I was using this and having a lot of success with it. And then I decided to break it out 50-50. So 50% for the offense, 50% for the defense. And I came up with this model, which when this one missed, this one usually hit. So I was like, all right, well, let me weigh it out and go 80-20. So 80% offense, 20% defense, because some of them were skewed. If you had a mid offense and a elite defense, this would kind of bring the number down. And then just for kicks, what I started doing is taking these three models and just average them out. Well, what I found is overall the average is probably the best one to go off of. So this is what I'm basing most of our numbers and stats off of, this projected score. So you can see here, this one has Boston winning 114, giving 108 points to OKC for a total of 222. Now, I'm comparing this difference here of 6 points to the spread of 1.5. So I would say, okay, Boston, we have them winning by 6. The spread's minus 1.5, so Boston would be the play, and you can see that right here. Now, each one of these models has a total at the bottom of it. So these totals, if it highlights green, that's over the current Vegas line. That number is over. So you can just look red or green. If it's red, it's an under. And then also, we highlight the team, I say logo, but the team colors below each model. So you can see this is Boston all the way across. So if I just look here, I see we have three models for the over, and all four models have Boston. And then you can see this is how many points each model has the spread covered by. So this, they have it covered by 6, 1, 5, and the same thing with total. This has it going over by 7, going under by 1, over by 3, and then the kind of average. But if you want to look at nothing else, look at this right here. This number is the average. 114, 108, the play is Boston, and we would go over. So I use this for sides. I love it for NBA sides. For totals, I'm still working with it, and we'll break down totals separately. So this over here is your Vegas money. Every time you open the sheet, it auto scrapes the Vegas data, and it's going to populate all of these fields here and all of this Vegas money here. These stats down here are all going to stay the same. The percentages, the records, those don't change. But the main ones are the Vegas spreads and the Vegas money auto updates, which that's good because we can see what the public's doing. This here is the notification column. So these right here are going to pop up some stuff. So some of the different things that'll pop up is sorry, phone was ringing. Some of the stuff that's going to pop up here, if there's a line shift of 3 points or greater, it's going to pop up in red and say big shift alert. That can be towards a team or towards a total. Also, I've got in one of these columns a little box pops up and it's white text, and it will say either 75 or 80% of the money is on one side and the money is moving that way. So that's kind of a heavy public bet that you want to watch for. Typically, if my model has something and that pops up and it's going the other way, I usually either fade it or I'll go against it, because those tend to, it's kind of an indicator when the model is off. If you get 85% or more of the money plus the line moving in that direction. And there's another one that says sharp money. So basically, if less than 50% of the bets are on one side and it's moving the line, that's usually sharp money, big bets, or certain bettors. So I have a little indicator for that, and sometimes you might hear me say this is a sharp play or a sharp indicator. That's something to look at. Now these two here, the top one's going to tell me what I like on the side, and we're kind of tweaking these as we go. And then this is going to be the total. It's going to say like hard pass, strong over, strong under, sharps on this. It'll have some different things, so you can look at those. Now the biggest thing you want to look at also is here, the cover buy. So what you have to determine is how many points different do you want for it to be considered a play. So when I track it, I do, if it's a half a point covering, I put it down as a play and I track it. I don't necessarily bet it. So if this gets over 7, it'll highlight. And as we go through the games, we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at it. So this first game here, so we have Boston minus 1.5. We project at 114, 108, and then 219.5. We projected at 222, so we have Boston and the over. Now the line opened at 1 and it went to 2.5. So I'm going to pull this sheet over here. So we're looking at this first column. So opened at 1, went to 1.5. We had it picked Boston winning 114, 108. The actual score was Boston 112, 111. So if you got minus 1.5, you lost. If you got minus 1, you pushed. And then if you got anything else while that line was moving, depending on when you opened the sheet and made your bet, you could have got a win. So as our result, I put up in the air. It depends on where you got the line. It could have been a win or a loss. For the total, we projected this at 222 points, and it finished at 223. So we had it going over 219, and so that was a win. So this one, win or loss, we could go either way with it, and then we had the total as a win. Now let's go ahead and look at the second game. So I'm going to click in here to the home team. I'm going to go down here to Washington. I'm going to watch the line movement. You can see the line moved 1 point to Memphis. So we have Washington winning this one by 4, 114 to 110. And I look at this, it's a fair cover, getting 2.5, winning by 4, that's close enough. And then the total is at 240. We've got it projected at only 225 points. So you can see this number here highlights. So that is a significant difference. So those are the games I'm usually going to play, the ones with significant differences. The Boston win was close enough. If you want to play it, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. But if you're playing a few games, look for the highlighted numbers, which is usually 7 points or more for the significant difference. Now, here you can see strong under look pops up. And so basically what that means is we have it going under by a significant amount of points. And then when you come down here, the points per game over the last 3 combined is well under. And also the points allowed average for each team the last 3 games is well under. So if this stays under, and our model, all of them have it going under, then that's a game I'm going to look at. So the play here would have been Washington plus 2.5 and under 240. Under 240 was a strong under look, and that's one that we would give heavy consideration to because of the difference. So we're going to come over here to our sheet. So we had Washington plus 2.5. We had it finishing here at 224, 225. Memphis actually ended up winning this game 106 to 99, so we took the loss. So what was interesting about this game is Washington started out on fire. They were up 30 to 18 in the first quarter, and I thought it was in the bag. And they were right there the second quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter. They just fell off of a fucking cliff and only put up 14 points. And so that let Memphis get up by 7, giving us the loss. Now, we had it projected at 225, way under the 240-point line. The actual was 205, so we got a win on the underplay there. And some of the things that I'm looking at is not necessarily the model pick for the under, but I'm also looking over here to see where the Vegas money is, what the records are over under, and then I love these stats down here. This average points over the last three, especially for totals, because you can see these teams combined are scoring 224 and allowing 219. Well, that's well under this 240. So those are some of the other things I'm going to look at. I'm also going to watch line movement. So if you get, let's say, 95% of the money, and this has moved 3.5 points, but I've got an under, I'm probably going to fade the under, because if public's hitting it that hard and the line's moving, that's usually an indicator somebody's in trouble. So I would say use the model here for NBA sides and then make your own choice on the totals. If it's something like this where it's kind of split, a half a point isn't anything, and we've got a significant difference, the strong pops up, that's probably a total that I want to play. So just something to keep in mind. So let's run down here to the next game. So here we have Atlanta and the Knicks. Open at 3.5, went to 5.5. So we have a lot of money coming in on Atlanta and total moving up a point. So I'm going to go over here and look at our model. And so we've got a tight game, basically, 113, 114. So the play here would be taking the 5.5 because we have them losing by 1. And then the over, it's 227. We have it 227. There's really nothing there, but yeah, I did bet the over last night. And the reason I did is you see this strong overlook, and then we have a shift plus 75% of bets. Actually, that came in on Atlanta. Now, our model here was on the Knicks. Now, the reason I like the over is when the strong overlook comes, we have a model going over, which this one's barely over. It's in the tenths of points. But over here, we're at 229, 228. So just slightly over, and it moved a point, so it's something that I like. Now, it did go into double OT and went over. And so over here, we're going to go look at game number 3. The play was Knicks plus 5.5. We had them losing by 1. They were actually winning, and then Atlanta scored to put it into overtime with like 7 seconds left. And then the Knicks were winning the first overtime, and Atlanta tied it. And then the third overtime, Atlanta went on a run at the end, luckily just covering the 5.5. So if you got 5.5, it's still covered, even though the Knicks should have easily covered that game. The strong overlook, it's a win. Total went over. And let's go ahead, run down here, look at the next game. So here we got, I'm going to go through these a little bit quicker. You kind of get the basis of what we're looking at. The other video over here explains all of these stats and kind of what to look for in records. I'm just trying to hit the basics for you. So Philly, Chicago, 11, not a lot of heavy line moves. We have it as a tight game, giving Chicago a chance to win this game. 113, 112 as an 11-point dog. Right here, both of these are highlighted, so that's something that I'm going to look at because these means we have a significant difference. So we have a strong overlook here. So I'm going to take the 11 points with Chicago because we have a shot at winning, maybe even sprinkle a little bit of money on the money line. And then I want to look here and see. So we have 225 as the total. So if the actual total is like 224, 224 and a half, that's not enough for me to make a play. I could walk away from it and be like, either way. But we have this at, Vegas has it as 213 and a half. We have it at 225. That's pretty freaking significant. So, and when I'm looking at this, we've got it covering by 8, 11, and 14 points. So here, I'm probably going to play the over, and with the strong overlook, I know I want to see if their last 3 averages are over this 213, and you can see down here, their last 3 average total is 222 and allowing 248, and the spread here is only 213, so that's a game that we like. One of the indicators also I'll throw in there is this pace. If you get a team below 100, like 98, 99 Memphis, be careful because they can really slow down the game, and I'm going to make an indicator for that in the future. So for this game, we had Chicago plus 11, chance at them winning. Final was 118-111. They easily stayed inside the plus 11 points. So we got a win there. We had the strong overlook pop up. We had it at 225, going well over the 213.5. Actual was 229, so we were almost spot on that. So that's positive. Running down here, the next game, we got Houston. So we lost this game. Houston -3. It was a tight game, so we had them covering by basically a point and a half, -3, 113, 109. So technically, this would be a play that I would track, so it is a loss, but I usually wouldn't play something that's only -1 or covering by 1. And then the total, 232.5. We had it significantly different, which you can see here, about 11 points under. So we can have this 14, 7, and 12. These are how many points under we had it going. So under 222 is probably something that would be better than playing Houston. I did play Houston last night. I took the loss. So down here, play on the sheet would have been Houston -3. Had them winning by 4. Utah actually squeaked out a win. They came back in the fourth here and won this one, 114-113. So we had it as a tight game, and it was a tight game. So we predicted it at 113-109. It ended at 114-113, so pretty close. Tight game, but we take the loss here. Strong under look pops up. Looks, okay, I didn't see that. So let me show you this. So, of course, we have strong under because we have it going under by 10 points. So the strong under notification pops up. And then down here, this scoring, last 3 average, 219, last 3 allowed, 228. Both of those numbers are under the 232, so I really like that. And then when you come down here and look at this, the strong under popped up. We had it at 222. Well under, it finished at 227, so we got a win with the under there. And let's go ahead and knock out these last 2 games real quick. And I'll get this video posted for you guys so you can start digging into the sheet tonight. And going forward, Mondays are real busy for me at work. Tuesdays, I start to slow down a little bit, but like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm going to start hitting more sports betting, going over the sheets, telling you what I like, but I want you to learn how to read the sheets, look at the sheets, so if something pops up, like I had a funeral a couple weeks ago, and I was a mess for about a week. So anyways, here, notice down here, I want to point this out. So quick notes, teams like Milwaukee, the Clippers, and Golden State, they're high variance teams. I would recommend not even going against these teams because Golden State can come out and score 88 points and shit the bed, or they can come out and score 130 and annihilate someone. The Clippers, you have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard that are sitting every other game. Sometimes they're both out, sometimes they're both in, and so that changes a lot of their stats and their numbers. So be careful here. So when you look at this, you have the Clippers and you have Cleveland. Now Cleveland, you can see they have a 6-21 record at home. Clippers are 14-10 on the road. And look at this last 10. Clippers are 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 3. And Cleveland's 1-9. They've lost 5. So if you look up here at this average model, we have the Clippers winning 118-115. Now, this is a little bit of common sense. Now, we have it as a tight game. But if you look down here at this stat, you see 8-2 versus 1-9, 1-3 versus lost 5. Just use a little common sense there and be like, hey, this is the Clippers. If Kawhi Leonard is going to play and or Paul George is going to be on the floor, they could blow this game out of the freaking water. Now, I'm going to take a loss on this one because if you look at it, right here, we have losing by 3, so you would take the 6 points if you go off the average model. So for tracking purposes, I'm taking the loss. For common sense purposes, you could look right here and be like, nope, I'm either going to fade it or I'm going to take the Clippers. 6 isn't that many points. Also right here, this is what I call an 8-8 game. So you have 82% of the bets on the Clippers money line and 89% on the spread. So if you look at right here, this record and streak, and then the amount of money that's going on the Clippers, just walk away from the game. There's not enough spread cover here, and it's the freaking Clippers. I mean, come on. But either way, so we had it 118, 115, total 230.5. We had it going 233. So this is a game you could have walked away from. 2 to 3 points isn't a good cover. Now you have the strong overlook that pops up, so an over is probably something I would have played. It's at 230.5. We're going to 233. Last 3 averages, 233, allowed 246. So over, I could justify a play more than I could a Cleveland plus 6. Now we come over here and look. So the sheet play would have been Cleveland plus 6, depending on the variance you put in there. And then we come over here, and the Clippers actually blew them out of the water by almost 40, 133-92. So I just put here, we take the loss. It's a whiff, but again, that's why I have that indicator in there that the Clippers are a tricky team, so be careful. I would fade betting against Clippers, Golden State, or Milwaukee. The strong over popped up. We had it at 233 with 230.5 total. Cleveland only scored 92 points, so they just didn't get there enough. The Clippers did their side, but Cleveland did not. So that's one thing to look at. And then we're going to come down here to Portland. Let's go ahead and wrap this last game up. So this one's tricky because if you followed me, like I've been on Portland. I had them at plus 625 when they beat the Lakers. I had them at plus 200 or plus 220 when they beat Utah. I took a loss at plus 160 when they lost their next game, but I came right back to them. So this one was kind of stinging for me. So here, Miami plus 5, we had them as a shot to win the game. We had about an 8-point difference, so that's a strong play there. And then we had sharps hitting the under. So 229.5 down to 227, 2.5 points to the under. We have it at 228, 230, 228. So we have it pretty much right on that number. You know, a 1.5, that's not enough for a play. But with this sharp money hitting under, that's something. If you want to bet a side, bet the under. We're going to come over here. We're going to take a look at this last game. So sheet play would have been Miami plus 5. We had them winning by 3. Portland ended up winning this game 115 to 109. So it was a brutal loss. We lost by 1 point. So what's interesting about this game, it's a tough beat because Miami led the offensive boards 13 to 5. The total rebounds 49 to 43. They had less turnovers, but the issue was their total field goal percentage. They shot 39.8, and they typically shoot around 47-48%. And then Portland, they were hitting their number at 47.1%. So we lost by 1. We dominated a lot of the categories, but we just missed it. So I do think Miami was the right play there. We just got a little unlucky, and that happens from time to time. Sharp notification for the under hit. We had it right in the middle, so I'm going to say we could go either way on this one. I probably would have faded it, but I'll tell you that sharp money hits 60% of the time. But anyways, I wanted to go ahead and break this down and kind of show you the video. So we were 18-2 coming into yesterday, and I'm just going to write this one off because we could have gone either way. So on the sides, we went 2-4, so that would take us 18, so 20 wins, and then 4 losses, so that'd make us 20-6. Let me write this down so I can track it. 20-6 on the sides. But then you can see the totals we actually nailed yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6-1 on totals. So then on the day we were... All right, get out of here. So on the day, it would have been profitable if you did all of those. So the biggest thing to answer your questions, to change the team, click in the home team, drop down menu, move around game to game. Look at this. See what the difference is, our model. If it's 1, 2, 3 points, don't worry about it unless you really like it. This is the number we're going off of for plays for tracking purposes, and these are our notifications. Pay attention to the notifications. Look at the records, and then if you want to watch this video, you can see some of the stats down here. But anyways, I wanted to get this breakdown for some of our new sports betting guys, and good luck, everybody.